You guys really enjoy the class videos as you voted by a large margin to hear about the roles of the Druids in Mystara. Like, 2 of the other videos for a while just had to scrape by to qualify for next week because you voted for the Druid so many times. Well, at least voting for the non-core 4 classes of D&D, but I'm not complaining because there's a lot of information on Druids, making these videos easy because there's less speculation. So welcome to Mystara, you groovy cats. Time to take some herbal supplements and tune in, turn on, and drop out because I'm Mr. Welch and I'm talking to the Druids. Druids are technically a class in the Beckme era, but it's a strange one because it's really just a cleric option at name level to gain some extra nature spells. You don't start out as a Druid at level 1, you've got to get famous, then you get the option to go full on Radagast. Druids in 1st edition were a bit strange because their level up system had the odd throttling at higher levels, so I'm going to focus more on the role of the Druid rather than to try to apply the differences between the editions in Mystara. On a whole, Druids are one of the most popular in-universe of all the classes, and are welcomed almost without exception. The biggest reason why is that Druids are generally seen as beneficial because of their ability to calm nature, keep away natural predators, or at least keep the predations to a minimum. Druids help farmers grow abundant crops, maintain peace between human and demi-human populations, and can even serve as go-betweens with the Sylvan races. In short, Druids have so many uses that even nations hostile to clerics leave Druids alone if they stay on the outskirts. A Druid helping farmers on the border of a town in Glantry won't be harassed at all, but if they step foot in Glantry City, the Glantrians will break out the black pudding snuggies. The only known group of Druids in canon is called the Balance in All Things. This is a large but loosely aligned group of Druids that worships the immortal patrons of nature across all the spheres. Well, except for entropy, they don't really do much with nature. The Balance has no set leadership, though the Elder Druids are viewed as such by outsiders. They serve more as a network among their members to alert each other of trouble spots that just one of them can't handle alone. Because of this, Druids really don't care about the international boundaries, with a few exceptions. An Ethengard Druid isn't going to be welcome in Glantry, even if they've got a wildfire burning down Bergthoven. Again. Racially, Druids are some of the most diverse of the secondary classes. With the exception of the Sidhe, who don't have access to divine magic, and more importantly have very different opinions on the definition of natural compared to all the other races, all the races have some sort of Druid. Elves in particular have a large number of Druids, which makes sense considering the nature of the Camelbarth forest. In particular, Elven Druids have passed on their secrets to the Elven Wizards, giving rise to the Tree Keepers, a sort of Wizard-Druid hybrid class. Halflings, because of their agrarian ways, tend to have a large number of Druids themselves, with the Hen Masters being quasi-Druids in their own right. Dwarves don't have a large number of Druids below ground, but because of their food sources are limited, they use all the help they can get growing crops, even asking Druids of non-Elven races to assist. Tortles in particular tend to be Druids more than clerics, though even the passive Tortles don't have many adventures of any type among their numbers. For the wilder Lupin, Rakasta, and Thanaton Druids have a significant place in their ranks, but mostly those only on the edge of civilization. You're not going to find a lot of domestic Rakasta Druids compared to the feral Rakasta. The Druids in Mystara tend to follow the traditional D&D style Druids. For 5th edition, you can easily fit in all of the Druid circles in the player's handbook, and more than a few of the additional ones added later, though I think Circle of Spores doesn't really fit any Mystara canon even remotely close. The one Druid that is unique to Mystara is the Dervish of Yalarum, which despite its name doesn't actually whirl. Dervishes instead live in the deep desert to find the secrets of the land in some of the most blasted desert on Mystara. They don't venture outside the desert often, but they do have a reputation for survival that few can match. The activities of Druids around the nation varies depending on the culture as well as the amount of cities involved. Of course, Mystara being Mystara, most nations have large amounts of wilderness scattered throughout their borders. Only the island nations of Minrathad and Irindi of the known world have little in the way of unexplored territories, but Irindi does have close ties to their land, and their primary religion is very open, so Druids are welcomed from any area. Minrathad, on the other hand, is settled and maintains its natural resources for the sake of profit, making Druids uncomfortable there because they don't do what they do for money. In certain nations, Druids can get the ears of the rulers in advisory roles. The northern reaches all have leaders that follow the advice of the immortal, so Druids tend to be part of their advisory council. Doesn't help that the environment in the reaches is quite hostile to life most of the year, so it's more self-preservation than tradition. The nation of Robrin in the Savage Coast is famous for its Druid, and they are some of the most influential people inside that nation. Their Druids can often find favor in Robrin's neighbor Uzdria, even if that nation is more modernized than Robrin. In the Serpent Peninsula, the nation of Tanakumba, they need their Druids to maintain their vast rainforests that define the nation, making the class a necessary part of the nation's very existence. There's few nations openly hostile to Druids, but Hule has to be the one right at the top of that list. The Master doesn't allow religions outside of the state-sponsored religion. If people find out they don't have to rely on the state and can let nature-worshipping holy people help them, that's a direct challenge to the power of Hule and has to be stopped. As stated before, Glantry has technically outlawed druids, but as long as the druid stays hidden, they don't get pursued. The most difficult place in all of Mystara for the druids has to be the Red Coast. The thrice-cursed region has animals twisted by the curse, and druids that try to help will end up twisted themselves. Druids have a terrible time in the lands of Cinnabril because nothing is as intends. Animals are cursed, plants are cursed, magic is cursed, everything is cursed. Druids can't undo the curse, they have a hard time just relieving the symptoms of the curse. Still, druids are resilient and do their best, though being a druid in the red cursed regions means becoming cursed yourself. While druids tend to eschew metal, Cinnabril isn't a normal metal, it's a necessary means of survival. There are a number of evil druids, none really mentioned by name, and they lack any type of cohesion. They're evil for their own motives, not because of some overarching plot. That is a major point of the druids. They don't seem to work together in any official contacts, past just asking for help. They help out their chosen area and divide up the lands to provide maximum assistance to the region. That's one of the reasons why their popularity in Mystara is so high, so much that when Alfheim needed to send some of its greatest warriors to fight an ancient evil in the module Tree of Life, they were allowed to take a single human druid with them. That's the druid in Mystara. They're beloved in most regions, from the Savage Coast, Serpent Peninsula, and Known World. Even the Hollow World supports them, aside from the technology-obsessed Blacklore elves. They are solitary by design rather than any rivalry. They just want to help nature by covering the largest area possible, given their low numbers. Unlike clerics in Glantry or wizards in Yularum, nobody turns away a druid except in very specific regions. Next week I'm going to add monks to the poll, as you seem to like the non-core 4 classes, and also means I have to do my homework on the existing monks/mystics that exist in canon. You're free to choose any of the other 4 topics, of course. So until next week, remember, when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. When life gives you hemlock, don't make hemlockade. And learn the difference between lemons and hemlock.